The day my life changed wasn't the day I found some miracle formula. It was the day I got sick of my own excuses. I realized the only enemy I ever had was the voice that whispered, maybe later. That moment, I declared war on comfort. I decided that if my thoughts created my world, then I would command them like a general leading an army, not a beggar waiting for mercy. I stopped asking how long it would take and started asking how far I could go without breaking. I understood that no one is coming to save me, and that truth set me free. Every thought became a weapon. Every challenge became a test. I trained my mind to see opportunity where others saw pain. I stopped reacting and started creating. My focus became a blade sharp, precise, unbreakable. I learned that fear disappears when purpose is stronger. I refused to let weakness have a home in my mind. I told myself, if I can think it, I can live it. And from that moment on, I acted as if I already was the person I wanted to become. You want change? Then burn the bridge to your old mindset. Stop talking about potential execute. Stop waiting for motivation move. Every second you hesitate, the life you want slips further away. There is no secret, no luck, no magic. There is only the man or woman who decides that nothing, not fear, not failure, not fatigue, will stop them from becoming unstoppable. When you wake up tomorrow, remember this: your life doesn't change when you learn something new. It changes when you start demanding more from yourself than the world expects. That's the mindset that flipped the switch for me. Not someday. Pecs only those who demand progress from themselves. Every weakness in your life is born from a thought you refuse to challenge. You say, I can't, and your brain becomes your jailer. You say, I will, and your brain becomes your weapon. The distance between those two sentences is the distance between mediocrity and greatness. You can't talk yourself into success while thinking like a victim. The voice inside your head, if not mastered, will sabotage every move you make. The old mindset will whisper, take it easy, you've done enough, right when the new you is trying to break through. That's when you must strike. That's when you must silence comfort and choose growth. Discipline became my oxygen. I realized motivation fades, but discipline doesn't need to feel good to function. The days I didn't want to move were the days that built me the most. Discipline is the proof of your commitment to yourself. It's the purest form of self-respect. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, your identity shifts. You stop seeing yourself as someone trying to change, and you start seeing yourself as someone who cannot be stopped. That's when momentum is born, when doing the hard thing becomes normal and comfort starts to disgust you. The world doesn't reward effort, it rewards results. And results come only to those who act without waiting for perfect conditions. You can't think your way to courage, you have to act your way into it. Every time I took action before I felt ready, my confidence grew. Every time I waited for the right moment, I lost it. The mind learns through motion. Progress is the cure for fear. If you're stuck, move. If you're scared, move faster. The only thing that ever defeats fear is evidence that you're stronger than it. Faith in yourself isn't about believing blindly, it's about refusing to doubt. Doubt is the silent killer of potential. The second you question your worth, your mind starts looking for proof that you're right. But when you stand firm in certainty, everything aligns. The world starts to respond to your conviction. You'll notice opportunities appearing that were always there, you just couldn't see them through the fog of hesitation. Faith is not emotion, it's mental discipline. It's standing tall in chaos and saying, I am not backing down. Your environment will always reflect the power of your mindset. When you think small, you attract small. When you think like a warrior, everything in your path sharpens you. People either become allies or lessons, but never obstacles. Once your vision becomes stronger than your excuses, life begins to clear a path for you. It's not magic, it's alignment. The universe moves for those who move with purpose. The person you dream of becoming already exists inside you. You don't need to find them, you need to strip away everything that hides them, every fear, every doubt, every lazy habit, every excuse. That higher version of you is waiting behind the walls of your own resistance. Break them, tear them down with action. Stop seeking. NG permission. You are the permission. You are the force that decides how far this life will go. There will be days when no one believes in you, when progress feels invisible, when the weight of discipline feels too heavy. That's where most people quit. But if you can push through that silence, you'll find something rare: self-trust. And once you trust yourself completely, you become untouchable. You no longer need applause, validation, or external energy. You move from a place of certainty, and certainty is power. The instant transformation begins when you finally draw the line and say, "I'm done thinking like the old me." You don't need motivation, you need decision. You don't need time, you need now. From this point forward, everything changes because you command it to. Stop waiting for a sign, you are the sign. The moment you decide your old mindset no longer serves you, the chains fall, the path opens, and the impossible becomes inevitable. That's not inspiration, it's the law of mental dominance. And the one who understands it doesn't just change their life, they take control of it. Every weakness in your life is born from one thought you refuse to challenge. One silent belief that tells you it's okay to settle, to wait, to accept less than you deserve. That thought hides in the shadows of your mind, whispering reasons, building excuses, convincing you that your limits are real. It's the voice that says you can't, and every time you listen, it plants roots deeper into your identity. The moment you confront it, your life begins to change, because weakness doesn't live in your body, it lives in your belief system. You are not tired, you are unchallenged. You are not broken, you are unawakened. The problem is not that you can't rise higher, it's that you've built comfort around staying low. The mind is a battlefield where every victory or defeat begins. Most people never win there because they don't realize that their thoughts are commands to their future. You think small, you live small. You think you're stuck, and your life proves you right. You think you're unstoppable, and the world starts to yield. The truth is simple and brutal: you are always programming yourself. Every thought either strengthens your power or feeds your weakness. Every excuse builds a cage. Every doubt builds a wall. Every hesitation gives your lesser self another day to rule over your destiny. When I understood this, I stopped trying to fix my life and started fixing my thinking. I noticed that every failure I ever experienced came from believing the wrong idea about who I was and what I could do. The moment I challenged those thoughts, the moment I said, "What if I can? What if I am wrong about my limits?" everything started to shift. I learned that weakness survives only in the presence of unexamined thoughts. The second you shine awareness on them, they lose their power. Fear, doubt, insecurities aren't real forces. They're habits of thought repeated so often they've become familiar. You've told why yourself the same story for so long that you've mistaken it for truth. But truth and repetition are not the same thing. If you dare to question the narrative you've built, you'll find that the walls surrounding you were never solid, they were made of smoke. You've been free all along, only blinded by the comfort of your own excuses. Challenging your thoughts is not about fake positivity, it's about war. It's about taking every belief that limits you and demanding proof. Ask that voice inside your head, where's your evidence? Most of the time, it has none. It's just fear pretending to be logic. Once you see that, weakness collapses under its own weight. Strength is NT, built in the gimmets, built in the silence between your thoughts. In those moments when you choose power over pity, purpose over procrastination, faith over fear, every champion, every conqueror, every person who ever defied the odds did one thing before they ever took action: they challenged the thought that told them they couldn't. The difference between ordinary and extraordinary lies in who you choose to listen to when your mind starts to negotiate. Weakness says, rest. Strength says, rise. Weakness says, tomorrow. Strength says, now. The choice is always yours, and it's made every single day in the privacy of your own head. Once I began confronting those thoughts, I discovered something life-changing. The mind doesn't resist truth, it resists change. The moment you start demanding more from it, it fights back. Not because it wants to destroy you, but because it wants to protect the comfort it's built. But comfort is a liar. It promises peace and delivers regret. The pain of discipline lasts minutes, but the pain of weakness lasts a lifetime. I chose the pain that makes me grow. I chose to break the thought patterns that chained me to mediocrity. You cannot be strong while thinking weak thoughts. You cannot build a powerful life while feeding on mental junk. Every time you let doubt win, it doesn't just delay progress, it rewires your identity. The brain becomes what it repeats. If you keep repeating fear, fear becomes you. But if you start repeating courage, determination, and belief, strength becomes your natural state. You don't have to fake confidence, you have to train it. You don't have to pray for strength, you have to build it with every decision that says, I will not surrender to the old me. The world outside you only mirrors the world inside you. If you live in chaos, your mind is chaotic. If you live in fear, your thoughts are undisciplined. The moment you command your mind to obey your vision, the world starts to rearrange itself around your will. That's not magic, it's mastery. Weakness dies the moment the mind becomes disciplined enough to focus only on what builds, not what breaks. Every time you think with intention, you reclaim power from the thoughts that used to own you. Every weakness in your life can be traced back to that one thought you refuse to face. So face it now. Look it dead in the eye and say, you no longer define me. Replace it with a stronger truth own that aligns with who you were meant to become. Stop entertaining thoughts that question your worth. Stop speaking words that weaken your spirit. Stop negotiating with the part of you that's afraid of greatness. You've been carrying an old identity that no longer fits the person you are becoming. Let it go. From this moment forward, whenever that weak thought tries to whisper in your mind, don't argue, dominate. Don't reason, replace. Your power lies in your ability to choose what thoughts deserve to live inside your head. If you let weakness stay, it will grow. If you cut it off, strength takes its place. Every time you conquer one limiting thought, your life expands. That is the process of transformation, not luck, not timing, not chance, just a relentless decision to never again let a weak idea rule your powerful mind. Success does not wait for clarity, it responds to movement. It rewards the ones who dare to act when others are still hesitating, the ones who step forward through uncertainty with nothing but faith and fire in their eyes. Most people waste their lives waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, the perfect confidence, and they never realize that perfection never arrives. Success is not patient. It does not sit quietly in the corner waiting for you to be ready. It belongs to those who move before they understand everything, who trust that motion will reveal what still seems hidden. The path never appears until you take the first step. The truth is, clarity is earned through action, not thought. You cannot think your way into greatness, you have to walk into it. Every dream that changed the world began as a messy, uncertain step into the unknown. The mind wants safety, but destiny demands risk. When you sit still, overanalyzing every possibility, you drain the energy that was meant to create momentum. Movement creates power. Power creates confidence. Confidence creates clarity. That's the chain of transformation. Waiting destroys it. The one who acts without overthinking becomes unstoppable because they understand a universal law. Motion defeats fear. Fear grows in stagnation, but it dies in movement. When I first understood this, everything shifted. I realized that every opportunity I missed wasn't because I was incapable, it was because I hesitated. I waited for certainty, for signs, for approval, for timing. And while I waited, life moved on. Others moved faster, failed forward, learned, adapted, and succeeded while I stood still, planning my perfect moment. That was the hardest truth to swallow. My lack of movement was my real failure. Success doesn't come to those who think about it comes to those who move toward it, even trembling, even unsure, but always forward. The greatest tragedy of potential is paralysis. The dreamers who never start, the talented who never launch, the ambitious who never act, they all share the same disease, the need for clarity before movement. But clarity is not the starting point, it's the reward. The fog only lifts for the one walking through it. Standing still only deepens the darkness. When you move, even in chaos, the path starts to form beneath your feet. Momentum makes the impossible visible. Action is the language of success. Every successful person you've ever admired understood one simple principle: results are born from action, not intention. The world doesn't respond to your wishes, it responds to your execution. You can think all day about changing your life, but until your hands, your habits, and your hours align with your words, nothing changes. Movement breaks the illusion of limitation. Once you start moving, fear starts losing its control because it feeds on stillness. The second you take motion, you remind your mind who's in charge. The problem is that most people want guarantees. They want the map before they start the journey. But no map is complete before the road is traveled. You build it by walking. Every step teaches, every mistake reveals, every failure refines. The one who keeps moving collects wisdom that the thinker never discovers. Progress is the proof of belief. When you act, you're telling the universe, I trust my direction. When you hesitate, you're telling it, I don't believe in myself. The world listens to both. I used to think success required knowledge. Now I know it requires movement first. Knowledge without execution is wasted potential. The more you learn without acting, the heavier your doubts become. The brain starts using information as a shield instead of a tool, convincing you that you're preparing while you're actually hiding. Preparation is valuable, but over-preparation is paralysis disguised as productivity. You don't need 100 answers, you need one bold move. Movement builds faith because it shows you evidence that you can survive uncertainty. Every small action plants confidence into your spirit. Every failure builds armor for the next challenge. The ones who act without clarity are the ones who discover what clarity really is seeing that you never needed it to begin with. Success doesn't follow those who wait for the perfect plan, it follows those who create the plan while running. The faster you move, the faster life starts revealing what was always possible. Every great moment in my life came from a decision that made no sense at the time. I didn't know the outcome. I didn't know the risks. I just moved. And through movement, I found momentum. And through momentum, I found mastery. That's the pattern of all achievement: move first, understand later. Waiting to feel ready is waiting to die with regret. You'll never feel ready because readiness comes from experience, and experience only comes from action. Success is impatient. It favors the bold, not the cautious. It rewards those who move with courage, not those who plan with fear. You don't need perfect timing, you need relentless motion. You don't need to see the finish line, you need to trust that every step is building it. You'll never figure out every answer before you begin, but you'll find every answer you need once you're in motion. Life will meet you halfway the moment you start walking toward it. So stop waiting for clarity. Stop waiting for the right mood, the right partner, the right opportunity. Move now. The only clarity that exists lives on the other side of movement. The only way to control your future is to create it in motion. The world doesn't care about what you plan to do, it only responds to what you execute. Every second you stand still, success passes you by and moves to the one who dared to act. Success does not wait for clarity, it waits for courage. It waits for those who take the first step into uncertainty with conviction burning in their chest. Move even if your hands shake. Move even if you can't see what's ahead. Move because movement is life and stagnation is death. Every empire began with a step. Every legend began with motion. The path is not found, it's forged. And the moment you move, success starts moving toward you. Discipline is the language the universe understands. Emotion is just noise. The universe doesn't move for those who merely feel, it moves for those who act. It doesn't respond to tears, frustration, or fleeting motivation. It responds to consistency, to the steady rhythm of action that never breaks, no matter how heavy the weight becomes. Discipline is pure power because it speaks the one language that reality respects: persistence. The world doesn't care how passionate you are on your best day. It measures what you do on your worst. Emotion screams for attention, but discipline works in silence. And it's that silence that builds empires. I learned early that emotion is unreliable. One day you feel unstoppable, the next you feel broken, and if you let those feelings decide your direction, you'll live a life that swings between progress and paralysis. Emotion makes promises it never keeps. It tells you it's time to rest when it's time to rise. It tells you to quit when you're inches away from breakthrough. Discipline doesn't care about comfort, it only knows commitment. It's not about how you feel, it's about what you've decided to do, no matter what storms rage inside you. Most people chase motivation like it's oxygen. They wait for that spark, that perfect surge of energy before taking action. But motivation is a mirage, it fades as fast as it appears. Discipline, on the other hand, doesn't depend on mood, it's forged from decision. It's the moment you say, "I'll do it whether I feel like it or not," and mean it. That's the difference between amateurs and masters. The amateur moves when it's convenient. The master moves because it's necessary. Emotion may ignite you, but only discipline sustains you. There were days when I didn't want to rise, when fatigue felt like a mountain pressing against my chest. Days when the mind whispered, "Rest, you've done enough." But discipline spoke louder, it said, "Move." And every time I obeyed that voice, I became stronger, sharper, more unshakable. That's when I understood that discipline is not punishment, it's liberation. It frees you from the slavery of moods, from the weakness of waiting to feel ready. Once you learn to move without needing to feel inspired, you gain control over your life, because nothing external can dictate your motion. Emotion reacts, discipline decides. Emotion sees obstacles, discipline sees opportunity. Emotion seeks comfort. Discipline seeks growth. Every great achievement in human history has been the result of someone choosing discipline over emotion. You think the greats always felt motivated? You think warriors, creators, leaders woke up every day eager to fight? No. They woke up committed. They showed up when it was raining, when it hurt, when no one believed. They moved when others made excuses. That's why the universe rewarded them. The universe is not biased, it's balanced. It gives everyone the same. 24 hours, the same chance to act, the same resistance to overcome. The difference lies in who keeps showing up. When you train your mind to move with discipline, you align yourself with the natural order of progress. Every repetition, every early morning, every late night sends a signal to the universe that you are serious. And the universe responds not with miracles, but with opportunities that only the disciplined can recognize and seize. I used to think emotion was my strength, that passion alone could fuel my success. But passion without discipline burns out. It's like fire without oxygen, bright for a moment, gone in seconds. Discipline is the oxygen of achievement. It keeps the flame alive when the excitement fades. It keeps you steady when everything else around you shakes. Emotion gets you started. Discipline keeps you moving long after emotion disappears. You see, the hardest battles are not fought in the world, they are fought in the mind. Every day your feelings will try to negotiate with your purpose. They'll tell you to skip the workout, delay the project, avoid the discomfort. And every time you listen, you train your mind to obey weakness. But every time you say no, every time you push through despite how you feel, you build an unbreakable will. And once your will becomes stronger than your emotions, you become unstoppable. Discipline doesn't care if you're tired, if you're sad, if no one claps for you. It only cares that you do what must be done. That's why it's the bridge between intention and reality. Emotion may inspire dreams, but discipline delivers them. Without discipline, potential dies. With it, even ordinary people become extraordinary. Because in the end, success is not about talent, it's about endurance. It's not about how fast you run when you're motivated, it's about how long you keep going when you're not. Every time you honor your discipline, the universe takes note. It starts clearing the path for you, aligning circumstances, sending you chances that match your level of commitment. But when you give in to emotion, you break that signal. You tell the world that your desires are stronger than your decisions, and the universe retreats. That's why most people live in cycles of excitement and disappointment. They speak emotion, but never learn the language of discipline. The truth is simple, yet uncomfortable. Emotion feels good, discipline feels right. Emotion gives you pleasure now, discipline gives you power forever. The one who controls their emotions rules their future. The one who obeys emotion becomes a prisoner of the moment. When you learn to silence the noise of feeling and listen to the command of purpose, you step into mastery. You move with precision while others drown in hesitation. You act on principle while others wait on passion. Discipline is the law that governs success. It's the proof that you mean what you say, that your word to yourself is unbreakable. Every act of discipline is a declaration to the universe, I am ready for more. And the universe, recognizing that frequency, responds with abundance, growth, and strength. Emotion might cry for attention, but discipline commands respect. So the next time your emotions try to dictate your path, remember this: they are noise loud, dramatic, temporary. Discipline is the signal clear, quiet, eternal. The universe hears only one language, and it is action repeated with purpose. Speak that language long enough, and you will not need to chase success. It will come to you because discipline always translates to destiny. The mind creates before the hands ever build. Every empire, invention, success, and revolution began first as a silent image in someone's mind. Every skyscraper you see was once just a vision behind someone's eyes. Every victory you admire was born long before the first move was made. Nothing in the physical world exists without first being constructed in thought. The mind is the blueprint, the architect, the invisible hand that shapes everything you will ever touch. Before your hands can build greatness, your mind must design it. That is the law of creation: imagination before manifestation, vision before victory, belief before becoming. The greatest mistake people make is trying to build externally what they've never committed to mentally. They chase goals without a clear picture, they act without belief, and then they wonder why their results crumble. You can't outwork a weak mind. You can't build strength on shaky thoughts. The hands only execute what the mind has already accepted as truth. If your thoughts are scattered, your actions will be inconsistent. If your beliefs are small, your achievements will shrink to fit them. The mind is the foundation, and no structure stands higher than the ground it's built on. Every success story starts the same way: the vision that refuses to die. Before the first brick was laid, before the first move was made, someone saw something no one else could see. The world calls it luck, but it's not luck, it's creation. The mind is the real battlefield where destiny is won or lost. You win first in thought, and then your actions simply follow the path you've already cleared mentally. The problem is, most people never train their minds, they let them wander. They think about failure more than success, fear more than possibility, doubt more than destiny. And so, their hands keep building the same small, limited life over and over again. I learned that when you control your mind, you control your world. Every time I set a goal, I build it first in detail in my imagination. I feel it, I see it, I live in it before it exists. Because the universe doesn't respond to wishes, it responds to belief. You don't get what you want, you get what you think, what you expect, what you consistently imagine with conviction. Your mind is always building something. The question is, are you designing your future consciously, or are you letting fear design it for you? The truth is, your thoughts are blueprints for your reality. Every repeated idea becomes instruction for your behavior. Every image you hold becomes the model your hands follow. You can't think failure and build success. You can't imagine scarcity and create abundance. The outer world is nothing more than a reflection of your inner design. If you want to change your life, change the picture inside your head. The mind must see the new world before the hands can build it. When I finally understood this, I stopped fighting circumstances and started mastering focus. I realized the external world is only a mirror. It reflects whatever I project. If I am unfocused, life feels chaotic. If I am decisive, life becomes clear. If I think like a creator, opportunities start appearing like pieces of a puzzle falling into place. The universe listens to mental clarity, not emotional chaos. That's why you must protect your mind like a fortress. Let no fear, no doubt, no negativity enter it, because those are seed sand. What you plant in the mind, you will harvest in reality. Discipline of thought is the foundation of all achievement. You must guard your inner conversation because that's the script your future follows. If your thoughts are poisoned by self-doubt, your results will be contaminated by hesitation. But if your thoughts are filled with faith and direction, your results will reflect certainty and strength. Every time you visualize success with intensity, you're carving the path for your actions to follow. Every thought is a command to the subconscious, and the subconscious never argues, it obeys. The secret is to live in the result before it exists. The greatest minds understood this. They walked as if their goals were already done. They spoke from victory, not toward it. That mental posture is power. The universe bends to conviction. When you think as though it's already yours, your actions start to align naturally. Your tone changes, your posture shifts, your energy sharpens, and people, situations, and resources begin to align with that frequency. The mind creates the vibration. The hands simply manifest the design. The tragedy is that most people sabotage their own creations. They plant the seed of a dream, then water it with doubt. They say they want success, but their inner dialogue is filled with fear. They build halfway, then demolish it with hesitation. The mind can't create clarity while being polluted by contradiction. You must decide, do you truly believe? What image are you willing to hold until it becomes real? Because the one who holds the image the longest wins. Every day you are either training your mind to believe in your vision or to surrender to fear. The battle never stops. But when your mind becomes disciplined enough to hold its focus, the world has no choice but to follow. That's when miracles start to happen, not because of magic, but because of mental mastery. The mind commands, the world responds. You can be in chaos externally and still create order if your mind is still and certain. That's the power of creation. It starts invisible and becomes inevitable. The hands build what the mind designs. So if you don't like what you're holding in your life, change what you're holding in your head. Stop waiting for signs and start building visions. Stop saying, I hope, and start saying, I know. Stop letting fear draw the blueprint of your destiny. Reality is clay, and your thoughts are the sculptor's hands. The stronger your imagination, the sharper your focus, the faster your world transforms. So remember this truth: the mind creates before the hands ever build. Before you can hold it, you must first believe it. Before the world can see it, you must first see it in your own mind with absolute conviction. Everything begins there in silence, in thought, in the unseen world of imagination. Master that realm, and you master life itself. Because once the mind has built it, the hands have no choice but to follow. Faith in yourself is not belief, it's the refusal to doubt. It's not a soft hope that things might work out. It's an unbreakable conviction that no matter what stands against you, you will rise. Belief can waver when circumstances shift, but true faith doesn't bend. Faith is steel. It's the fire that burns even when everything around you goes dark. It's not about convincing yourself that success is guaranteed. It's about eliminating the possibility of defeat in your mind. When you refuse to doubt, you remove the cracks where fear hides. You stop asking, what if I fail? And start saying, even if I fall, I will rise again. That is the difference between dreamers and doers, between those who wish and those who win. Faith in yourself is the purest form of power. It doesn't require evidence, applause, or validation. It's built in silence, when no one sees your effort, when no one believes in your vision, when the results are still invisible. That's when faith is forged, when you are surrounded by uncertainty, yet you keep moving forward with unshakable focus. The world calls it confidence, but it's deeper than that. Confidence can fade, faith endures. Confidence depends on performance. Faith depends on identity. When you know who you are and what you're capable of, no storm, no failure, no delay can touch your certainty. I learned that the greatest enemy of progress is not failure, it's doubt. Doubt is quiet, persuasive, and deadly. It whispers, you're not ready, you're not worthy, you'll never make it. And the moment you start negotiating with it, your strength begins to crumble. You don't need to answer doubt, you need to silence it. Because the mind listens to what you repeat, and if you repeat fear long enough, it becomes your reality. But if you repeat faith loudly, relentlessly, daily you rewire your entire being to expect victory. Faith isn't emotion, it's repetition. It's training your mind to believe so deeply that doubt no longer finds a place to live. Every great achievement begins in uncertainty. Every visionary, every leader, every conqueror has faced moments where nothing made sense, where logic screamed impossible. But faith speaks a different language. It says, try anyway. It says, move even when the path isn't clear. Faith doesn't need evidence because it knows that evidence will appear after the action. You don't wait for the door to open, you walk toward it knowing that the handle will turn when you arrive. That's the essence of faith, moving as though success is inevitable, even when failure looks certain. The truth is, you don't fail when life knocks you down. You fail when you start doubting your ability to get back up. Doubt poisons the mind. It doesn't just slow progress, it stops creation. You can't build greatness on a foundation of hesitation. The moment you let doubt enter, it starts multiplying, spreading through every thought until it paralyzes your potential. But faith cuts through that noise like a blade. Faith doesn't argue with fear, it outlasts it. It shows up every day, no matter how many reasons the world gives you to quit. When you truly have faith in yourself, you stop seeking approval. You stop waiting for someone to validate your worth or confirm your direction. You understand that the power is already inside you. You stop asking, can I, and start declaring, I will. The world begins to respond differently to a person who carries that kind of energy. Opportunities appear, not because they weren't there before, but because faith sharpens your focus and expands your awareness. You start seeing paths that doubt kept hidden. Faith doesn't mean arrogance, it means alignment. It's the awareness that the same force that built galaxies and turned seasons lives within you. It's understanding that you were designed for growth, built to overcome, wired to win. When you act with that kind of faith, you stop fearing failure because you realize failure is just feedback. Every setback becomes data. Every loss becomes training. The person with faith doesn't crumble, they recalibrate. They don't wait for strength, they generate it. There were times when I had nothing, no money, no support, no clear path. The only thing I had was faith in myself. And that was enough. Because faith generates movement. It pushes you to act when logic tells you to wait. It keeps you going when everyone else stops. It becomes your fuel when motivation runs out. When you live with that kind of internal certainty, you become unstoppable. You may get knocked down, but you never stay down. You may lose battles, but you never lose vision. The difference between belief and faith is that belief is mental, but faith is behavioral. Belief says, I think I can. Faith says, watch me. Belief can exist in comfort. Faith only lives in challenge. When you refuse to doubt, you start walking differently. Your words carry power, your actions carry authority, and your presence demands respect. People feel your conviction before they hear your voice. That's because faith radiotessits a frequency that commands attention and bends reality toward your will. Doubt is the anchor that keeps most people in mediocrity. Faith is the wind that lifts you beyond it. Every time you choose faith over fear, you elevate your life. Every time you act with certainty despite uncertainty, the universe rewards you. That's not coincidence, it's law. Life responds to those who trust themselves enough to move without guarantees. It rewards persistence, not perfection. So refuse to doubt yourself. Refuse to question your worth. Refuse to live at the mercy of fear. You don't need to see the entire path. You only need enough faith to take the next step. The rest will reveal itself as you walk. Every great destiny was written by someone who decided that doubt would not have the final word. Faith in yourself is not belief, it's the refusal to doubt. It's the moment you stop waiting to feel worthy and start living as though you already are. It's the moment you stop asking if it's possible and start acting as though it's done. That's when the shift happens. That's when the universe moves. Because the second you refuse to doubt yourself, life stops doubting you too. Your environment obeys the strength of your inner vision. The world outside bends to the intensity of what you see within. Everything around your circumstances, your opportunities, even the people you attract mirrors the image you hold in your mind. Weak vision creates a weak life. Strong vision transforms chaos into clarity, barriers into bridges, and struggle into purpose. The moment you decide what your life must look like, the universe begins rearranging itself to match that decision. The outer world does not lead, it follows. You are not a product of your environment, you are its architect. When I understood this truth, everything shifted. I stopped blaming the noise around me and started mastering the voice within me. I realized that my environment wasn't holding me back, my indecision was. My surroundings were only reflecting the story I kept telling myself. The truth is, your environment doesn't define your destiny, your vision does. You can live in limitation and still think abundance, and that thought alone begins to tear down every wall in your way. The most powerful changes never start from what you see, they start from what you decide to see. Vision is not imagination, it's creation. It's not fantasy, it's the blueprint of your reality. The strength of your vision determines the weight your environment can carry. If your vision is fragile, life will test it until it breaks. But if your vision is unshakable, life will eventually surrender to it. The world cannot resist a mind that knows exactly what it wants. When your vision becomes more real to you than your current circumstances, the environment no longer has power over you. You stop reacting, you start directing. You stop waiting, you start commanding. Most people live their lives responding to what they see instead of declaring what they want to see. That's why they stay stuck. They wake up to problems, talk about problems, and eventually become the reflection of those problems. But the few who understand vision live differently. They may be surrounded by scarcity, but they think in abundance. They may face rejection, but they move with certainty. They may be alone, but they walk like leaders. Because vision is not about the present, it's about the promise. It's about seeing what's possible long before it's visible. Your environment begins to shift the moment your conviction becomes stronger than your conditions. If your vision is weak, your environment dictates your mood. But when your vision is strong, your environment bows to your energy. The people who doubt you start fading away. The distractions lose their power. The chaos begins to align because order follows clarity. The moment you know who you are and where you're going, everything that doesn't match that direction begins to dissolve. That's not magic, it's alignment. The universe simply mirrors the level of your mental authority. The greatest mistake is waiting for your environment to change before you believe. You must believe first, act first, and see later. The world doesn't reward hesitation, it rewards conviction. Every empire, every breakthrough, every revolution began in one person's mind before it existed anywhere else. They saw it so clearly within that the world had no choice but to make room for it. You have that same power. Your vision is not a dream, it's a command. It tells the environment what must exist. Your thoughts emit energy. Your vision gives it direction. When your thoughts are scattered, your energy weakens and your environment reflects confusion. But when your vision is sharp and unyielding, your energy becomes magnetic. You start attracting resources, ideas, and people who resonate with your frequency. It's not luck, it's alignment between your inner and outer world. You are always manifesting something, whether consciously or unconsciously. The question is, are you projecting power or fear, certainty or confusion? Because your environment listens closely to you. Or inner language. If you constantly speak limitation, your surroundings will shrink. If you speak victory, your surroundings will expand. You don't attract what you want, to attract what you are. The energy of your vision must be stronger than the pull of your environment, or you'll spend your life adjusting to the noise around you instead of creating your own rhythm. The moment you choose to lead your life from the inside out, you separate yourself from the masses. You stop being a reflection of your conditions and become the reflection of your vision. There was a time when I let my environment control my thoughts. I saw failure, so I expected failure. I saw scarcity, so I prepared for scarcity. And life gave me exactly what I focused on. But when I shifted, when I made the decision that my internal world would lead, everything changed. My environment didn't improve first, my mind did. My confidence grew before my results did. My vision became unshakable before success ever showed up. And once it did, the world simply mirrored what I already saw within. You must understand your environment has no choice. It's a mirror, not a master. It will always obey the strength of your focus. That's why you must protect your vision with your life. Don't share it with people who think small. Don't expose it to opinions that drain your belief. Feed it daily with discipline, silence, and certainty. Every moment you reinforce your vision, you strengthen your control over reality. Because clarity is power and power reshapes the world around you, stop waiting for the environment to validate your dream. The validation will come only after your vision is so strong that doubt no longer enters your mind. Act as though your vision is already real, and your environment will start catching up. Every great transformation begins that way: inner certainty first, outer change second. When your vision becomes your dominant vibration, the world cannot ignore it. Your environment obeys the strength of your inner vision. So see what you want clearly. Speak it with conviction. Move toward it without hesitation. Let no distraction, no obstacle, no failure rewrite the picture in your mind. Because once your vision becomes stronger than your surroundings, the world will have no option but to rise to your level. That is how transformation begins, not from the outside in, but from the inside out. The person you dream of becoming is already waiting for you to wake up and act. They are not some distant version of you living in another lifetime or another reality. They exist right now, buried beneath hesitation, fear, and endless waiting. Every second you spend doubting, delaying, or overthinking